Hey guys, how's it going? So if you hear other people in the background, that is my family. My wife's reading a book to our two daughters. So this game was typical of the drivel that we've been indoctrinated to accept in this ridiculous and obvious rigged league. I mean, if you can't tell that the refs are biased, you might as well just jump off a bridge. In a previous video, I went over the rig predictions. All of them came essentially 100% correct. If you don't know, this channel used to be have a lot bigger influence than it did. It got deleted, and now I'm just making videos for this playoff run to see what happens and into the future. The general marks of the rig. The most simplified versions are foul trouble, phantom fouls with no replays, which they used to show these, right? Shifts of momentum based off of free throws, foul trouble, the refs interjecting into the style and play of the game. You have a shift of momentum, emotional outbursts, number 5 here, and no calls, fouls that are not called. And there's a few others, but we'll get into that if it comes up. So the most obvious rig of this game, besides it just being atrociously refed, I can't even believe people watch the NBA at all. Early foul trouble on Clay and Steph. In general, I thought that the refs were basically just maintaining a controlled environment to keep the game close for a last second shot in the fourth quarter. That's what you can almost predict that's what they're going for if they don't have just an outright obvious, explicit agenda. But with LBJ out, generally, it's not as obvious, the rigs, right? The ejection of Draymond Green, just like in 2016, they know if they get rid of Green, probably the Warriors will lose, right? And he was ejected on basically a nothing foul. And they go into that Talmudic, legalistic minutia mindset that we need to psychologically enter into to argue, well, he grabbed the jersey, he did this, he did that, right? They want you to enter into this legalism. It was BS, complete BS. Even the mainstream pundits, the Zio pundits, are on board with that narrative as well. So the advantage of the micromanaged rig of the who owned NBA favored the Grizzlies in general. That's what I saw. But it was bad on both sides. Basically, they wanted the game close, like I said. On the whole, it is what you would expect from a league managed by the synagogue of Satan, essentially. Horrific, absolutely horrific style of play. Inconsistent ref calls, random fouls called on the Warriors that typically are nothing. An example of this was Looney diving for a loose ball in the third quarter. Right. Generally, they never call fouls like that. Yeah, foul on Looney, and on replay, it's literally nothing. So a key mark of a rig is a long stretches of normal play / reffing when the game is close, right? A 3 to 6 point lead. You're not really seeing the refs interject into the game. But when any team tries to break out, all of a sudden you see free throws, foul trouble, all the marks of the rig are employed. One thing of note, when Draymond Green got ejected, you saw one mark of a rig among multiple marks of a rig, the emotional outburst from Draymond Green. I took some pictures here. I'll just run through them. So this was the second quarter. The Grizzlies, 10 free throws, nobody in foul trouble, 7 total. And you see the Warriors about the same time, 9. But Klay Thompson, Gary Payton the second, 3, and then Curry Payton was in foul trouble the whole game. He picked up a quick third not too long after this picture as well, and got a controversial 5th foul later in the second half. That was another nothing foul. And then you see almost a 2-1 free throw advantage for the Grizzlies. So this is what I was thinking in the second quarter at the 7:19. The Grizzlies getting a slight call advantage. It should be around a 3-point Grizzlies lead. Instead, it was around 5-7 for that stretch in the game, micromanaging the game to keep it close. And then Green was ejected in the game for a so-called hard foul, a definite rig call. And then this was the halftime score. 16 free throws to 12 for the Warriors, 11 fouls for the Grizzlies to 15 fouls. And then you see basically the whole starting three of the five starters, Thompson, Curry, and Payton, in foul trouble. I'd call three anytime they have to sit out due to fouls. And then if you look at those fouls on replay and there's no fouls, something is going on. Half the time, it is literally almost the opposite. They're like 2 feet away from the offensive player and they got called for a foul. Stuff like this. So, keeping this video short, it was everything I predicted. Watch my previous video, it might pop up at the end here. And I go over just a brief history of the rig since the mid-'80s. I'm going to do another video for Game 2. Keep an eye out for that. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.